Hello, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me for class this evening. Today is Wednesday, the 20th of May. I hope you've been having a great week so far. This week we've been working on back bends, and back bends have a lot of great benefits. Really, they help to strengthen the upper body, the legs, and even the arms as well, depending on the back bend. And as far as other benefits for back bends, they really give you some more confidence. They help you open up your heart and really stretch the front side of your body while strengthening the underside of your body. And so today we have a level one focused Vinyasa style class, 60 minutes. If you were joining me on Monday, we focused a little more on the fundamentals of back bends, really the internal rotation of the legs, um, the extension of the arms, and the what else did we work on? The thoracic mobility, trying to keep the bend out of the low back and more to the upper to mid back. And so we're going to reinforce that today a little bit, but it is level one, so we're going to turn it up a little notch and definitely build some heat along the way. We'll definitely create some strength in the body, some stretching, especially in the front side of the legs. As far as for props today, if you have a block will really help kind of reinforce some of this key concept we're going over today. So if you have one, keep that nearby. We'll definitely use it. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You'll still be able to follow along, no problem. If you have a strap, that might come in handy. We'll be doing a couple shoulder openers. Sometimes it's nice to have a strap or towel if you typically use that. If not, don't worry, it's totally not necessary for today. So it looks like the stream has started. Looks like we're all good. So hope you're ready to get started. We're back here in Federal Hill overlooking the harbor. Some of you in Baltimore may recognize the location here. So happy Wednesday, and let's get started with class. So keep your block nearby. Meet me on your back with your knees bent. So on your back, knees bent, feet and knees are hips width distance. Place your hands down, palms down, arms straight. Just take an inhale here and exhale. One more deep inhale and exhale. Now grab your block and place it in between both thighs, just above the knees. If you have a block like mine, you can either place it on the smallest distance or the medium width in between both thighs, just above the knee. And then extend both legs straight out in front of you. Let your heels come to the ground. Begin to flex your feet to start to engage the muscles in your legs. Have your arms down to the sides, palms face up. So we're in a Shavasana type pose, but we are making this more active. Typically in Shavasana, we let our knees and our feet fall out to the side, but here we're in more of a Supta Tadasana or mountain pose, where we would typically stand at the top of our mat with our feet hips width distance. We're now on the ground in that same position. So the idea with the block, if you have it, it allows you to start to engage the muscles in your legs, hug those legs gently in towards each other, and really spin the inner thighs in and down. So keep that engagement just as you start to deepen your breath here. Now the idea with rotating your inner thighs in and down is it helps to keep the knees tracking hips width distance. A lot of times in our back bends, the knees want to separate to compensate. That can cause a little bit of undue stress on the low back. So the more we can spin our inner thighs in and down, the more that the legs can carry more of the load in the back bend. Just take one more deep inhale here and exhale. Now keep the block in between your thighs if you have it. Otherwise, just keep your knees hips width distance and bend your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Keeping that block there, gently wrap your hands around your thighs and roll from side to side on that low back. Just gently massaging the low back here. In our back bends, we can typically have our arms in extension when our arms come behind us, or our arms can be in flexion when they come forward and overhead. And today we're going to be extension, so our arms are going to be coming behind us. That's mainly what we're going to be focusing on today. So gently come back to stillness in the middle. Release your arms down to the side. And now bring your shins up to parallel with the mat. Feet are nice and flexed so the toes face the ceiling. So shins are parallel. We're looking for a 90-degree angle here. Now, keep your knees bent at this 90-degree angle, but gently release your heels to the mat. So your feet are still flexed, only your heels come to the mat, not your toes. Now raise those shins back up parallel with the mat and gently release. Let's inhale, bring the legs up, and exhale, gently release. Keep going on your breath. And as you move your legs up and down, keep those feet nice and flexed. Gentle squeeze into the block, again, spinning those inner thighs in and down. Keep moving on your breath and bring some awareness to that low back. It may start to arch. So try and softly hug that navel in and down to reduce the arch in that low back. You might feel those abdominal muscles start to turn on a little bit more. And keeping your arms down to your side. Just do 2 more here. And gently release your feet down to the mat. This time, release those flex toes so that the entire foot comes to the mat. Now, you have the option to repeat that, or we're going to step it up one more notch here. So you're going to place your hands on, place your palms down on the mat underneath your sacrum. So your thumbs are going to touch. Your fingers face away from your body down toward your heels. And your hands are just below that kind of tailbone, kind of sitting right on the bottom of your butt here. You may have to adjust as we get started, but just start here. Now you can either repeat what we just did where we lift the knees, shins come parallel with the mat, or if you'd like to step it up one bit, while still holding the block or without, we're going to straighten the legs. And this time we're going to inhale as we lift the legs up, flex the feet, and exhale, gently release down. Hover an inch or two off the ground. Inhale as you lift them up, and exhale, release. Again, keep going on your breath. Maybe you need to slightly adjust your hands to get in a little bit more of a comfortable position here. But the idea here, again, is to spin those inner thighs in and down, keeping those knees hips width distance. But again, trying to reduce that arch in your low back. Just keep moving on your breath. I know this can be tough. If you need to, again, just bend the knees and repeat what we had just done. Let's do 2 more here. Keep flexing the feet throughout. Last one. And gently bend your knees. Release your feet to the mat. Stay here for a moment. Release the block off to the side if you have it. And now clasp your fingers together. Bring your arms over your head. And then flip your palms up towards the ceiling so that your palms are facing away from your face up towards the ceiling. Now release your arms overhead. Maybe your pinkies touch and your thumbs come up towards the ceiling. But if they don't touch the ground, don't worry too much. Now inhale, raise the hands back over, palms face the ceiling. Exhale, gently release back. Inhale, palms up. And exhale, gently release back. One more time, inhale, palms up. And exhale, gently release back. Now inhale the palms up. Now stay here a moment. We're going to add our bridge pose to this. So you're going to press down through your feet, spin those inner thighs in and down. That'll keep the knees nice and hips width distance. And on your inhale, you're going to lift your hips up, chest up, pelvis up, as your arms come overhead. So we're going to make this a dynamic bridge. Exhale, gently release from the top of the spine, low back last to arrive, arms come back overhead. Inhale as you press your feet down, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms come back towards the mat. And exhale, gently release. low back last to arrive. Let's do 2 more. Inhale as we lift our hips up, pelvis up, chest up. Arms come overhead. Exhale, gently release from the top of the spine, low back last to arrive. And one more time. Lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up, chin away from chest. And exhale, gently release. Low back to the ground. Release the clasp of the fingers, arms down to the sides. Gently hug those knees into your chest. Give a gentle squeeze. And then hold on to the back of your thighs. We're coming up to a cross-legged seat. If you'd like, you can roll up and down your spine once or twice. Or you can just let your knees fall off to the side and meet me in a nice cross-legged, comfortable seat. Now, in your cross-legged seat, make sure your feet are underneath your knees. If you ever need to sit up in your cross-legged seat, you can roll up your mat, sit up on a block or two, or even a blanket just to elevate and keep your spine nice and long. Place both palms on your knees. Take an inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. Now raise your arms up. Have your arms start at shoulder height, palms face forward. And now bend your elbows, palms face forward still. We're now in our cactus position here. And add a twist. So inhale as you lengthen, and exhale, twist to your right from the navel up. Keep both sit bones rooted. Inhale, twist to your left, and exhale, twist to your right. Inhale left, and exhale right. Keep going on your breath. Try to maintain those shoulders up, arms at shoulder width distance, or shoulder height, I should say, with the palms facing forward. You're gently twisting here from the navel up. We're just waking up that spine. Moving on your breath. Even out both sides. And begin to slow and come back towards the middle. Now release your arms down to the knees, palms down. Take an inhale here. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Now our shoulders are a little loose, so we're going to clasp hands behind our back now. I have a couple different options here. Now, when you clasp hands behind your back, you can either bring your fingers clasped together, just like we had before. If your fingers don't quite clasp, you can grab opposite elbows. Or if you'd like, you can place your hands on your low back, fingers face down. Or if you have a strap, you can grab it in both arms. Either way, just do what works for you. But stay here for a moment with your hands clasped. Let's try to roll the shoulders up and back. So we'll move with the shoulders. So with your hands clasped, roll the shoulders up, back, down, and forward. Roll them up, back, down, forward, up, back, down, forward, up, back, down, and forward. And just gently stay here for a moment. Take an inhale and exhale. Now switch the clasp of your fingers. So remember which thumb is on top. Switch it up, or which elbow you're grabbing. Switch which arm is on top. And now let's repeat that. So let's send our shoulders up, down, forward, up, back, up, back, down, forward. One more time, back, down. Release the clasp of your hands now. Send them forward. Place your block off to the side. Let's come into a tabletop position. So arms can come forward. Have your wrists directly below your shoulders. Knees or hips width distance. Tops of the feet to the mat. Make sure your wrist creases are parallel with the short edge of your mat, or maybe they're slightly turned out. Fingers are spread and looking for nice long fingers here, extending out from the middle. Gently pressing down to the base of each finger in each palm. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Let's add our cow cats. So let's inhale as we drop our navel. Send the heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back. Shoulders separate, head hangs heavy. Cat. Reversing that. Inhale, arching the back. Heart forward, look up. And exhale, rounding the back into cat. 2 more on your breath. Cow, cat. Just make them nice and slow as you breathe through each mode. And after your last cat, meet me back in a nice neutral position. We'll bring our legs to the party now. So let's extend that right leg back. Right leg is straight. Press that right heel back. You have the option to leave that right foot on the mat. Otherwise, we're leaving that right foot straight. And extend the left arm forward, balancing here. With the left arm nice and forward and straight, left palm faces in. Gaze is up towards the top of your mat. You're still hugging the navel in and up, pressing back through that right heel. Staying for one more breath here. And exhale, gently release both your knee and your hand to the mat. Let's switch to the other side. So now we're going to extend that left leg back, press the left heel back. Option to leave that foot down, otherwise keep it at hip height. Extend and straighten the right arm forward, right palm faces in. Hug the navel in and up. We're here for a couple breaths. Just take some nice deep breaths here. One more breath. And gently release your hand to the ground. Release that knee to the ground. Come down to your forearms. So release your right elbow where your right wrist is, left elbow where that left wrist is. Forearms and palms are still shoulder width distance, pressing down into the mat. You still have your shoulders directly over your elbows, so make sure you're still lined up here. Now extend that right leg back again. Right leg up to hip height. This time bend that right knee so that the bottom of the right foot faces the ceiling. Keep your pelvis neutral, hug that navel in and up, and gently pulse here. So we're going to pulse 10 times as we lift our right foot up towards the ceiling. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gently release that right knee to the mat. Switching to the other side. So now we'll extend that left leg back, left heel to the top of the mat. I'm sorry, left heel is hip height, pressing back away from the body. Bending that left knee, bottom of the left foot up towards the ceiling. Nice hugging of the navel in and up. Nice neutral spine. And here we go. Pulse 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gently release that left knee to the mat. Let's come back up in the tabletop. Now in our tabletop, we're going to curl our toes under, going to press our hips back towards our heels. We're sitting with our torso up here. If this is too much to sit with your toes curled under, you can sit on the tops of your feet, or if you'd like, you can place a block underneath. If neither of those options, just sit in a nice cross-legged seat. Either way, take your wrists, turn them back, and gently release your wrists to the mat with your fingers facing back. Your wrists are maybe an inch or two above your knees. We're gently going to rock forward and back. Hi, Coney. And just give the wrists a little bit of love here. So we're gently rocking left and back, rocking forward and back with their fingers facing back, wrists are forward. Now gently start to slow. And now bring the tops of your hands to the mat. Fingers face back, palms face up. Gently pressing down. We're shifting forward now with the tops of your hands to the ground. Gently shift forward, shift back, just moving on your breath, a little bit slower, a little bit faster. And gently slow. Release your hands, release your torso back up. Let's come back into our tabletop position here. So now back in our tabletop, hands are underneath the shoulders, knees. Stay for a couple breaths in your tabletop. Just keep breathing here. Okay, now on the tabletop, we're going to do those leg pulses again, but this time adding our arms. So start in your nice tabletop with your wrists underneath your shoulders. Extend that right leg back, right heel up to hip height. Bend that right knee so the top of the foot faces the ceiling. This time extend that left arm forward. With the left arm forward, if this is too much for you, just repeat what we have with the left arm down. Otherwise, we're going to gently add our pulses. So press the right foot up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gently release both your knee and your hand to the ground. Let's switch to the other side. So extend that left leg back up to hip height. Press that left heel back. Right arm forward. Bend the left knee. Bottom of the left foot faces the ceiling. And gently pulse 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release the right hand down, left knee down. Make sure your toes are uncurled, tops of the feet to the ground. Press your hips back towards your heels, coming into our first child's pose with the arms forward. Gently release your forehead to the ground. Just take a couple deep breaths here. One more deep breath in your child's pose. And exhale. And coming back up to tabletop, raise your hips up, shoulders over wrists. Curl your toes under. Let's lift our hips up and back. Come into our first downward facing dog. Arms are shoulder width distance, feet hips width distance, pressing the heels back. You can gently walk your dog, so maybe you raise one heel, raise the other. Bending the knees, maybe you lower one shoulder and lower the other. You can raise one leg up, raise the other. Just begin to wake up the legs here. Take 2 more breaths here, just waking up the legs. And gently come back to stillness here in your downward facing dog. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Stay in your standing forward fold for just a moment here. And in our forward fold, we're going to add our arms. So just like when we were seated, you have the option to clasp your arms behind your back, clasp your fingers together, or grab opposite elbows or palms to the low back with the fingers facing down. Whatever grip you have, extend your arms back. Roll your shoulders up and back to create some space there in the shoulders. And give the knees a nice healthy bend here. Let your head hang heavy. See if you can bring your wrists or your arms over your body. Now you can stay here if you'd like to add a twist. You'll gently start to straighten your right leg as you turn over that right leg. Reversing that, rebend the right knee. Begin to straighten the left leg as you turn over the left leg. And switch that up. Straighten that right leg, turn over the right. And straighten the left. Rebend the right knee as you turn to your left. Coming back to center, let's do that one more time, each side. And gently release the clasp of your hands. Release the arms down, arm and head hang heavy. Just take one more breath here. And exhale. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, we're gently going to raise it up to standing. Just take your time, rolling off one vertebrae at a time. Head is the last thing to arrive. Once you're up, just shrug your shoulders up and back a couple times. Just loosen up. Now we're beginning to wake up the shoulders, the backs of the legs. We're going to just now warm up the entire body before we go into our more advanced back bends here. So make sure you're at the top of the mat. Feet are hips width distance, heels behind the center toes, arms down to the side. While we're here, draw your tailbone down toward your heels. Lift your frontal hip bones up to the front bottom ribs. Try to breathe into those back ribs. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Take an inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Okay, inhale the arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Place your hands onto the mat, knees bend, Step your right foot back, step your left foot back into plank. Stay here for a moment in plank. You can always drop to your knees. We'll be here for 2 breaths. Either way, shoulders over wrists, pressing down through the base of each finger and each palm. One more breath here. And everyone drop to your knees. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Now uncurl those back toes. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Now take your hands and place them on your lower back with your fingers facing down towards your heels. So you're basically just right at the top of your butt, right on your tailbone. And use your hands to gently press like the flesh of your butt down towards your heels. I know it sounds funny, but this is the action, and sometimes it helps to reinforce with your hands the actual pressing of that, drawing that tailbone down towards the heels. So keep that as you're pressing down, keep the tailbone just like that, and release your arms back underneath your shoulders to either side of the chest. Keep the tailbone drawing back. And now inhale as you lift your head up and your chest up into your baby cobra, sending the heart forward, drawing the backs of the shoulder blades together, spinning those inner thighs in and up towards the ceiling now to create some space to draw that tailbone down towards the heels. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Now curl those back toes under, press yourself up through tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're here for 3 breaths, pressing the chest back towards the thighs, pressing down through the base of each finger and each palm. Heels pressed back down towards the mat. Spin the inner thighs in and back, up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And exhale. Inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, palms overhead, look up. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Let's keep going. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold, place your palms to the mat. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back. We're in our plank pose again here. We're here for a couple breaths. Always have the option to drop to your knees. Again, in your plank pose, you also want to draw your tailbone down towards your heels. Spin your inner thighs in and up. Really has those knees facing down towards the mat, keeping the feet hips width distance, heels pressed back, just like in our downward facing dog. One more breath here in your plank pose. Gently release your knees down. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. This time, release your arms in front of you. We'll come into Sphinx pose. So, elbows are underneath the shoulders. Palms and forearms are down on the mat. Just like we were in forearm tabletop, we're now in our Sphinx pose. So, arms in that same position with the elbows underneath the shoulders. Keep sending the heart forward here. We're going to draw the tailbone down. Try not to crunch into that low back. It's easy to crunch here, but we want to create length here in our entire spine, even in our back bend here. Tops of the feet are to the ground. Make sure they're hips width distance. Again, then spin those inner thighs in and up. Imagine you have that block there and you're pressing into the block and trying to shoot the block up towards the ceiling. Send the heart forward. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the arms out to the side. Place the palms back to the sides of the chest. Wrists underneath the elbows. Release the forehead to the mat. Now curl the back toes under. Press yourself up through tabletop. Come and meet me in downward facing dog. Arms are shoulder width distance. Feet are hips width distance. Drawing the hips up towards the ceiling. We're here for just one more breath. And exhale. Now inhale, gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Come up to stand. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. And exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Now meet me in a wide-legged stance here. We're getting to warm up the body, and just to reinforce these shoulders opening here, come into a wide-legged stance. Feet are nice and maybe 3 to 4 feet apart, about one leg's distance apart. Heels behind those center toes. Start with your arms down at your waist. Take an inhale here and exhale. Now we're coming into a forward fold with our arms clasped behind our back. So again, you have the option to clasp hands behind the back, whichever way has worked for you for practice today. So have that clasp, either fingers clasp, grab opposite elbows, or use a towel or a strap. And with those hands pressing towards each other, try to straighten your arms and roll your shoulders up and back. Now inhale as you gaze up, add a slight back bend. Exhale, start to forward fold as you hinge forward over your hips, lightly hugging the legs in towards each other. As you get about halfway, you can let your head hang heavy here. Keep pressing down through the base of each foot. Start to shift some of the weight in towards the toes and a little bit less in the heels, but still keep your heels on the mat. Maybe you can lift your arms up a little bit, rolling those shoulders up and back. Staying for one more breath here. And exhale, gently bend the knees. Release the arms back, lifting back up all the way. Release the clasp of your hands if you have it, and just shake the arms out a little bit. Now let's do the other side. So if you had clasped with one finger on top, switch whichever thumb is on top, probably the least habitual grip. Extend the arms back, roll the shoulders up and back. Inhale as you lift up, slight back bend. And exhale as you slowly hinge forward, sending your heart forward. You can have a slight bend in your knees if you need to, if your hamstrings are still tight. Once you start to lower, you can let the head hang heavy. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Try to lift those hands up a little bit more over your back. Shift weight into the toes. We're here for 2 breaths. Keep gently hugging the legs in towards each other. That gives you a little bit more stability here. One more breath. And exhale, gently bend the knees, lift the torso back up all the way to standing, and release the arms down to the sides. Hands come to the hips, heel to your feet, back into hips with distance. And you can gently shake those legs down a little bit. All right, we're really getting our shoulders open, our bodies nice and warmed up. So time to move into some more of the advanced back bends. So let's start at the top of the mat, feet or hips with distance. Come into chair pose, so bend your knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face up. Now in our chair pose here, make sure you can look down and see your toes. If you can't, need to shift the hips back a little bit more. Try to keep a nice neutral spine so we're not arching or rounding the back here. Staying for one more breath in your chair pose, maybe sink a little bit deeper. And exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold, place your hands to the ground. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back into your plank pose. We'll drop our knees to the mat, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Now uncurl those back toes and come back to our Sphinx pose. So arms out in front of us with our elbows underneath our shoulders here. This time we're going to bring our legs to the party a little bit more here. So from here, let's bend that right leg so that right heel comes up towards the ceiling. Now, once you're here, you're going to send the right arm back and see if you can grab the outside edge of that right ankle. Now, option 1 is to stay here. Option 2, you can start to walk that left hand out a little bit more to straighten that left arm. Keeping your chest up here. Again, spin those inner thighs in and up. It helps to keep those knees hips with distance. Draw the tailbone down towards the heels, really towards the back of the knees at this point. Send your heart forward. Gently just stay here for a couple breaths in our half bow pose here. Just one more breath, keeping those low rib tips on the ground. And exhale, gently release the arm back in front. Come back into your Sphinx pose with that right foot back to meet the left. Let's switch to the other side. So bend the left foot now. Keep that left thigh on the ground, but we're bending the left knee so the left foot comes up towards the ceiling, flexing those left toes. Extend that left arm back. Grab the outside edge of that left foot if you can. This should start to feel like a nice stretch here. Again, spin those inner thighs in and up towards the ceiling. Send the heart forward. Draw the tailbone down towards the backs of the knees. If you'd like, you can straighten that right arm out so that the right arm is straight a little bit farther forward. Stay here for 2 breaths. Just see how this feels. Try to keep those low rib tips on the ground for now. And exhale, gently release that left leg back. Right arm back, come back into your Sphinx pose for a moment here. Let's bend both knees. Cross the arms at opposite elbows. Have both hands grab opposite elbows in front of you. Just make a little pillow for your forehead. Release your forehead down. And with your knees bent, feet up, just gently rock those feet from side to side. Kind of just windshield wipering your feet. Gently rocking from side to side. And come back to stillness. Place your hands back off on either side of your ribs. Release your feet down, tops of the feet to the mat, elbows back. Curl those back toes under. We're going to lift up either into downward facing dog or come up through tabletop, whatever works for you. But enter downward facing dog. Lift that right leg up and back to hip height. Bend that right knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, and release that right foot to the top of the mat. Staying in our high lunge here, so keeping that left knee off the mat. If you need to, you can drop it down, but otherwise, keep that left leg straight, pressing back to that left heel. And inhale as those arms raised forward and up overhead. High lunge, arms face each other. Now release the hands down to the side. Come back into that cactus position where your elbows are at shoulder height and they're bent with the palms facing forward. Now inhale as you lengthen. Firm the thighs in towards each other. And exhale as you gently twist over that right thigh. So you're twisting from the navel up. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, maybe twist a little bit more over that right thigh. Keep that right knee tracking over that right ankle. Maybe twist a little bit more here. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release back to center. Now inhale, lift the arms up overhead, palms touch. We're staying here in our high lunge. So now release the arms down and back. Shift the torso forward so you're at a 45-degree angle with the arms back behind you. Now keep the arms back behind you. We're going to shift forward into warrior 3. So we're going to balance on our front leg. So shifting forward, begin to straighten that right leg. Left leg comes up to hip height. Both arms are back behind you. Maybe you clasp fingers as we've been doing. Keeping that left leg up, spinning that inner thigh in and back, straightening those left arms overhead. In your warrior 3, maybe you start to slightly add a back bend as you look forward. Keeping that left foot up at hip height if you can. Left toes are flexed to face down towards the mat. One more breath here. Release the clasps of your hands. Right elbow bend to release the left elbow back down. Lift the torso back up, arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, arms come down to either side of that right foot. Send that right foot back to meet the left foot. Let the knees fall to the mat. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows back lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Just a simple inhale as you lift up into baby cobra, maybe half cobra or full cobra as you straighten your arms. And exhale, gently release your forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under. Press up into downward facing dog, either through tabletop or coming right here. Now in your downward facing dog, we'll switch to the other side. So inhale as you lift that left leg up to hip height. Press that left heel back. Bend the left knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward. Shoulders over wrist. And drop that left foot to the top of the mat. Make sure the left foot is on the left side of the mat. Right foot is on the right. Keep that right knee up if you can. Otherwise, drop it down to the mat. Now press your feet into the mat. Inhale as you lift your arms forward and up overhead. Palms face each other. We're in our high lunge. Adding the cactus arms, so dropping the elbows down to shoulder height, palms face forward. Keep drawing that tailbone down. Now inhale as you lengthen. Exhale as you begin to twist over that left knee now. So we're keeping that left knee tracking over that left ankle. You're hugging both legs in towards each other. Lift that inner thigh in and up towards the ceiling. Keep gently twisting. Maybe you start to look over those left fingertips. Twisting from the navel up here. One more breath here. And exhale, turning back to center. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Now exhale as your torso comes forward 45 degrees. Arms come behind you. Now we're coming up into warrior three, so start to shift your weight forward. Press up off that back foot. Balancing now as you straighten that left leg. Press that right leg up straight to hip height. Pressing that right heel back. Maybe you start to clasp your hands, least habitual grip. Extend the arms back, keeping that right leg up at hip height. You can add a slight back bend here as you gaze forward. Stay here for one more breath. And exhale, rebend that front knee. Release that right leg back. Release the arms up overhead, torso up, palms face each other. Look up. And exhale, gently release the arms down to the mat. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. Let's drop our knees, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra, half cobra or full cobra. Exhale, release your forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under, press yourself up through tabletop, or meet me right in downward facing dog. We're here for 3 breaths in downward facing dog. Just take a moment to catch your breath. I know I need it. Pressing your chest back toward your thighs, slight bend in the knees if you ever need it. One more breath here. Inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Rebend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other, back into your chair pose just for a breath here. And exhale, straighten the legs, arms come to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Just take a couple deep breaths here. All right, making sure you're still at the top of your mat, feet or hips width distance, heels behind those center toes. Let's come back into our chair pose. Rebending those knees, send the hips back, arms come forward. And exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold, place the hands down, send the right foot back, send the left foot back into plank pose. Drop your knees to the mat, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Now come back into that Sphinx pose and just stay here for a moment. So both elbows are underneath the shoulders. Forearms and palms shoulder width distance, just gently pressing down into the mat. Make sure the tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. You're gently spinning the inner thighs in and up. Just like if you'd had a block in between them, you're trying to shoot it up towards the ceiling, drawing that tailbone down towards the heels. Now, just as when we sent our arm back and we bent our leg, we're going to add that again, but this time we're going to have the option to lift that right thigh up off the mat. So a little trickier here, but we do have the option. We're going to work each side individually and then try to add it all together. So we'll start with the right side again. So bend that right knee. Right arm extends back. Grab the outside edge of that right ankle. You have the option to straighten the right arm forward. And now gently press your hips into the mat. Now you can inhale as you lift that right thigh off the mat. Try to press that right foot away from your body. Keep that right arm attached to that right ankle. Send the heart forward and up. Just stay for a couple breaths here. Again, keep spinning that inner thigh in and back. Draw the tailbone down. Create space there. Sending the heart forward, lifting those frontal hip points up to the front bottom ribs. One more breath here. And gently release that right thigh to the ground. Right arm comes forward. Come back into your Sphinx pose. Let's switch to the other side. So bending the left leg, left foot to the top. Left foot faces towards the ceiling, I should say. Extend that left arm back. Grab the outside edge of that left ankle. Try to open up that left shoulder. So roll that left shoulder up and back. Now extend that right arm forward. You can stay here if you'd like. Press that left foot into the left hand. Start to raise that left thigh off the mat. Send the heart forward. Keep the hips on the mat. And again, spin that left inner thigh in and up, sending the chest forward, drawing the tailbone down. Look for length here. Keep pressing that left foot up and back. Staying for one more breath here in our half Dhanurasana. Then exhale, gently release that left foot to the ground. Both arms in front, cross and grab opposite elbows. Make a little pillow for your forehead. Release your forehead down. Bend both knees. And let's windshield wiper those feet. Let's take a moment to catch your breath here. Our last option for today for our back bend here, our belly down back bend, is to do a full Dhanurasana. So we've been working each side individually. We're going to put it all together. Again, your legs and your thighs are maybe going to want to separate out. So again, remember to spin those inner thighs in and up. Draw the tailbone towards the heels. So gently come back to stillness. Release the tops of the feet back down to the mat. Make sure they're hips width distance. Come back into your Sphinx pose to start. Elbows underneath the shoulders. And here we go. Bend both knees so that both feet face up toward the ceiling. Extend your right arm back. Grab the outer edge of that right ankle. Left arm back. You can stay here if this is enough for you. If you'd like to advance, you can gently press the feet into the arms. Start to lift the thighs off the mat. Send your heart forward. Again, spin those inner thighs in and back. Those knees probably want to separate. You want to keep them hips width distance. Roll the shoulders up and back. Keep pressing the feet away from the hands, flexing those toes. Stay for another breath or two here in your Dhanurasana. One more breath. Just make sure you're taking nice deep breaths. And gently release the feet down. Arms come forward again. Just rest your forehead on the arms crossed in front of you. Again, you can windshield wipe your feet by bending the knees and just letting the feet shift from side to side. And gently come back to stillness. Release the tops of your feet to the ground. We'll add just a gentle twist, so just gently raise your torso up slightly. Extend the right arm forward. Release the left arm under the right arm, and the left palm faces up. Now with this, we're now going to roll over to that left side of our body. Extend that right arm overhead. And now extend the right leg out to hip height so you can keep that right leg straight. And just have the left arm rest on that left thigh. You can gently start to open up the twist. Try and get that right shoulder on the mat. It might not reach there, mine doesn't. We're just adding a gentle twist here. Just stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the torso back. Right arm comes back down. Release that right leg back. Come back onto your belly. Let's switch to the other side. So now left arm is forward. Right arm comes underneath. Right palm faces up. Start to roll over to the right side of your body. At this time, extend that left leg out to hip height. Left knee can bend or left leg can straighten. Now bring that left arm to that left hip and gently start to roll open that left side of your body. Maybe the left shoulder touches the mat. Maybe it stays up a little bit. Just do what works for you. We're just here for one more breath. Back onto your belly. Both arms forward. Place your hands underneath your ribs. Press up into tabletop. Uncurl the back toes. Send your hips back to your heels. Come into your child's pose now. Release your forehead to the mat. But this time have your arms come back so that your palms are next to your heels with your palm towards your heels. Just let your shoulders hang heavy each other. And just take nice deep breaths here. Now extend the arms back out in front of you. Gently start to lift your hips up off your heels. Release your forehead up. Extend your legs out in front of you now. Come onto your seat. With your feet on the mat and your knees bent, we're gently rolling onto our backs. You can hold on to your shins or your thighs as you gently roll onto your back. Make sure your knees and your feet are in hips width distance. Walk your heels back under your knees. Arms down to the sides. And lift your right knee up, bending that right knee, and place the outside of that right ankle on top of that left. We're opening up that right hip, placing that right ankle on top of the left knee. Now, option one is just to stay here if this is enough for you. Option two, you can shoot your right hand in between both legs and grab either around the left thigh or around that left shin. And that left foot can come off the mat if you'd like. So option two is to stay here. Option three, grab around the left thigh and extend and straighten that left leg straight. Left heel presses up towards the ceiling. Just stay for a couple breaths wherever you are. Gently moving that right thigh away from your body, flexing both toes. Stay for one more breath here. Exhale, gently rebend that left knee, release it to the ground. Release the right foot to meet that left foot. Make sure both feet are hips width distance. And we'll switch to the other side. So lift that left knee up, externally rotate, place the outside edge of that left knee on top of that left ankle on top of that right knee. And option one is to stay here. Option two, lift that left foot off the ground, either wrap around your thigh or your shin, you can stay here. Or option three, hands wrap around your thigh, and that right leg straightens towards the ceiling. You're gently pressing that right heel up towards the ceiling, flexing both toes, and sending that left thigh away from your body. We're here for a couple breaths. Just let your shoulders soften. One more breath here. Rebend that right knee if it's straight. Release the right foot to the mat. Release the left foot to meet the right foot. We'll add one last twist here. So bring your right knee on top of your left knee, wrapping that right knee over top of your left. You can stay here, maybe wrap your feet as well. You'll shift your hips to the right just a couple inches and then drop your legs off to the left side. Now open both arms out to a side, either to a T or a field goal post, palms face up. Keeping your right shoulder on the mat. Inhale as you gaze up towards the ceiling, or turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Just stay for a couple breaths here. If you have another spinal twist that works for you, just go ahead and do that. Just one more breath here. Gently bring your gaze back up towards the ceiling. Release the knees back up to center. Release the legs if they're clasped. Recenter the hips back into center. And then wrap your left leg on top of that right knee. You can stay here with one wrap, or maybe you wrap those feet. Shift the hips off to the left side. Release the knees back down to the right this time. Keeping your arms out to a T or a field goal pose. Try to keep that left shoulder on the mat. If you need to raise those right knees up to make it happen, it's better to keep that left shoulder rooted. Gazes up towards the ceiling, or turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Stay for a couple breaths here. Just one last breath. Inhale as you bring your gaze back up towards the ceiling. Release the clasp of your legs. Come back to center as you hug your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around. One last squeeze. Raise your shoulders and your head up off the mat. Do a last full squeeze here. And exhale, extend the legs forward, arms overhead. One last full body stretch here. Point the toes, extend the fingers away from the body. One full body stretch here. And exhale as you gently release. Arms down to the sides, palms face up. And just release down into your Shavasana pose here. Let your knees and your feet fall out to the side. Your gaze can soften, or your eyes can close completely. Just let this be a time to release any last little bit of tension in your body and release any control over your breath. Just be here. Begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here. Gently bend your knees as you roll over to one side of your body here. Bring the top arm to meet your bottom and rest the top knee on top of your bottom knee. Stay for one last breath here on your side. Try to keep your eyes softened or your gaze closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position as we complete our practice today. Once you're in your comfortable cross-legged seat, palms on top of the knees, palms can face up, or bring your palms into the center of your chest. Let's take one deep inhale together and exhale. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Again, thank you all for joining me for practice this evening. I hope you enjoyed some of the back bends that we've been working on this week. The next practice will be Friday at 7 p.m. That will be a level 2, so it'll be a little more advanced, and you'll definitely be ready for it if you've done any practices this week, either the fundamental or a level 1. Again, my name is Daniel with Daniel Lee Yoga. If you ever have any questions, you can leave them in the chat, leave a comment on the video, or in the video description is my contact info. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see